Goku, no!
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Metacast podcast. That's the podcast that explores itself, explores ourselves, and explores the self in general. My name's Ty. I am one of your co-hosts.
And I am the center of all energy and your other co-host, Distance.
And tonight is the Metacast movie show about Akira.
I was supposed to remind you to do the thing. I didn't.
What were you supposed to remind me for?
Because the thing hides behind the other thing and then you can't see the thing.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Akira is a 20. Oh, no, it's not. Hold on, I'm lying here. Fuck, I did. Yeah. I did the thing that you didn't remind me to do.
Okay.
Dude, one day, I say this every week. One day I'm going to get good at this. I promise. I just need two main monitors. That's the problem.
We're better this way.
Yeah, it's. I hope you guys don't expect any better. All right, I'm actually ready this time. All right. Akira is a 1988 action anime. It's directed by Katsuhiro Otomo, with a screenplay by Katsuhiro Otomo, Izo Hashimoto, and it's based on Akira by Katsuhiro Otomo.
It stars the butchered names of Mitsuo Iwata, Nozomu Sasaki, Mami Koyama, and Teisho Genda. The budget was $5.5 million, with an estimated box office take of $25 million. The tomato meter rating is 90%, with an audience score that's also 90%.
It's incredibly fresh. Again, we have another certified fresh one. So Akira takes place in a post-apocalyptic year, 2019, in a city called Neo-Tokyo, which was built after a massive explosion destroyed Tokyo in 1988. The story centers around Kaneda, and who's the leader of a gang of bikers, and his friend Tetsuo. After a motorcycle accident, Tetsuo develops some supernatural abilities, and that begins to pique the interest of many people, including the military. This was a very interesting story. It's a movie that I've definitely heard about over and over again over the years. And something that I talked to you about is I've tried to get into anime. There's a reason, I think, why I don't like anime, and this movie started to show me that. And I think I've started... So I didn't... okay, here's the thing. To give this movie a verdict, a should you watch, I will give it a yes. I'm gonna start with a yes. I think that people should watch this. However, I do have to say there is a lot about it that I did not like, and much of it are the normal anime tropes. And I feel that a lot of what I've learned about how I watch this type of media made that clear to me, I guess, why anime has not really been something that I've really been into. So even though, yes, I will give this the should you watch, yes. If you're into anime, you're probably gonna love it. If you struggle with some of that, maybe there will be parts of this that will stand out to you as rubbing you the wrong way. How do you feel about it?
I'm glad you gave it a yes, because I didn't want to break up. But okay, take a sip of my drink on that. Okay, so I get it. Some people just don't like anime. But keep in mind, this is an old school one. This is 1988.
True.
My girlfriend, who really, really likes anime, didn't like Gundam Wing from, I think that was in 1995 is when that show started, because she said it was too like old school. So it's entirely possible that there's newer stuff that you might like. But for me, I suggested the film. I actually own a copy of the film on disc still. So for me, it's a yes on this one for sure. Mainly because this movie is credited with being the first like kind of real like sci-fi anime film. There are a lot of movies that had like those ideas, but this one's more of like the real deal, like kind of
yeah,
science fiction type subject matter. depending upon which version you watch. I'd say I think the remaster in 2000 or 99, that's the one that has the best voice acting if you want to do a dub.
Okay.
And the Japanese voice acting is actually pretty decent in my opinion. I think voice acting.
I'm actually not sure which version I watch now. I'm interested to know now.
I think voice acting has actually come a long way. So the one that I have a copy of that's the remaster from, I think it was early 2000. But more than likely that's the one that you watched if you watched on a streaming platform.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this movie I think explores a lot of things.
Yeah.
If you're willing to let it. But there is a way that there are character archetypes that are common, I think, in Japanese media that can be somewhat alienating to Westerners. So I can understand why, if you didn't like it, why. And I think I know the kind of ideas or the kind of tropes you're talking about, but I guess we'll find out more when we bust out Spoiler Terry.
Are you ready for Terry to come out?
Yeah, Spoiler Terry.
All right, let's do it.
I'm seriously gonna make a Spoiler Terry doll for you.
I do. What should he look like? What do you picture? What do you picture Terry, Spoiler Terry, looking like?
The guy from Adam Ruins Everything.
Oh, okay, yeah, that is. Well, that's exactly what Spoiler Terry would do. Yeah, that's perfect. That is perfect.
Or more sparkling water. Or we could do like Bruce Willis since he was dead the whole time.
Oh, that would. How do you mix like all the biggest spoiler characters, like have somehow have it be like Darth Vader mixed with Bruce Willis mixed with Snape killing Dumbledore. 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 I watched the Harry Potters. Don't you question me. But yeah, so anyways, let's get into. Okay, so here's what I learned about myself, and it is a critique of anime, but I don't mean to like. I'm not trying to like. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. I know that a lot of people love anime and take it like, hold it very near and dear. But there is, and I think that like you're talking about, it may be a cultural difference rather than just specifically to anime itself. But a lot of the way characters act is like very juvenile to me a lot of the times, and I know that maybe that's the intended audience, but it's like how. When you're first introduced to Tetsuo and Canada, how they're like, he's like always like slamming doors open and acting like every line is almost like yelled and I know that they're supposed to be that way, but like I see that very often in many anime, and I think that's one of the tropes that drives me away from the genre. But I gotta say, the ones that I've seen that aren't like that, I've enjoyed. Movies like the Miyazaki movies with like Howl's Moving Castle and Spirited Away and stuff like that. Like those are great, but they don't have that type of character exaggeration, I guess I don't know the word that I'm really looking for, but that's kind of what I realized watching this that has driven me away in the past, and at least while watching this movie, what took away from some of my enjoyment.
Yeah. I think I get what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Have you seen or heard of Agretsuko?
I have not. No.
It's about this character. All the characters in the show are like animals. They're very cartoony looking.
Okay.
Agretsuko is an office worker, and she has a job where the boss is kind of an asshole. And because he's older and because he's the boss, she has to do exactly what he says all the time and pay like a certain level of respect. And it's also a privilege that she's able to come to work and work for that company. Mm-hmm. And she should feel like honored and special at the fact that she's a real what do they call it, a company person.
What is she? Is this a fox?
I think maybe.
Okay.
But her thing is what she does is she goes like, because they have like karaoke like rooms and stuff at the karaoke spots there.
Okay.
She'll rent a karaoke room by herself and she'll go in there and sing like death metal.
That's pretty bad.
And her eyes like turn like yellow and red.
I saw the image of that. I was wondering what that was. Okay, yeah. That's cool.
So a lot of the reason why I think you see that in Japanese media is because the Japanese are kind of an oppressed society.
Yes, like as far as emotionally in public, yes, yeah.
they're not really supposed to express much in public, and there's just a certain level of kind of restriction about how they're able to act, and I think that that's one of the big reasons why you see this kind of really animated, no pun intended, or like really out there kind of intense behavior, because it's like an outlet for them. And I mean, this movie was made in '88. So
it's an escape from that reality that makes a lot of sense culturally. Yeah.
But it's like, but I get what you're saying. I mean, some of it does seem a little cheesy. Like I absolutely hate Sailor Moon. And I think Dragon Ball Z is a piece of crap. I think everything involving Dragon Ball is awful.
I enjoyed it as a kid, definitely, but like I can't go back and watch it now. Like I've watched it within the past like 4 years or so, and it was just like I could not get into it. Yeah.
When we were young and didn't have taste, it was fine. We hadn't really been exposed to anything else. But I mean, Miyazaki's movies are just good art, in my opinion. They're well done. Spirited Away is the only one that I've seen. And I really like that. It's very strange.
That's the only one you've seen? Wow, we need to do one for the podcast then. We need to pick one of the other ones, and it's a good idea.
Who did that Totoro movie? Who was that?
I think that was Miyazaki.
Was it? That is one that I've never seen that I'd be very My Neighbor Totoro. That's one that I would actually be interested in seeing, because I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's apparently very touching.
I'm going to slap that bad boy on the list right now.
Sweet. So but the one that I saw, it was just a really good art, and that was Spirited Away. I really enjoyed that one.
We actually studied that in a non-Westerns religion course I took in college. That was the course was divided into, I forget if it was 4 different main religions we looked at, but like in the section where we were looking at Shinto, we used Spirited Away as like an example for many of the like core concepts of the Shinto religion.
I feel like Shinto is one of the, because I did a world religions course. Shinto is one of the ones that we didn't really spend a lot of time on. I think it should, maybe just because our professor wasn't particularly knowledgeable about it himself.
It is very at least nowadays it's I hate that term nowadays, but at least like in today's world it is not very common, right? It was practiced much in history, but I think today it's almost, I don't want to say, do religions really go extinct? What is the term you would use if a religion is basically dead?
Antiquated?
That's a good one.
I like that. We'll go with antiquated. The religion is now antiquated. And like I think that there's a certain kind of, have you ever seen this show Samurai Gourmet?
No, I haven't.
It's a Japanese series where it's a company man, and he's now retired. And since he has all this time, he goes around and he creates these like emotional kind of accounts related to different types of food.
Okay.
And he narrates as he's like eating stuff. And at the beginning of the show, there's a narrator that's very tough sounding kind of guy.
Okay.
And he's like says in Japanese, which I can't say it. He says the samurai wandered from from town to town doing the bidding of their lords, and when a samurai had no lord, he was like a ronin, and like blah 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 blah, and he keeps on going with it. And then when the show starts, after like the kind of beginning, it goes into the episode, and the sort of intro scene happens, and he says, "This man is not a samurai," and he's like this little like unassuming like bald Japanese man, very very well mannered, and every now and then he'll get a little upset with somebody in a restaurant, or like there's one episode where he's in some kind of what's it called, the skewers, they cook on the skewers, and it's like over hot coals. There's a name for the technique. I can't remember it, but he's in one of those places. Okay. And what will happen is there'll be a brief moment where he'll look over and it'll be some fantasy of the samurai guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he's like this really gruff guy with long hair, and like his, and he has his armor on, and his.
Is it him playing the samurai guy too in the show?
No, it's a completely different actor.
Okay. So I thought it was just gonna be him dressed up like that.
Well, the samurai is like who he wants to be. And so he's like wearing like light armor. I think it's like wooden, and like there's an episode where he's in this like kind of I don't remember the name of that cooking technique, but he's in one of these places and he's drinking sake, and he wants a refill, I think, but he's too timid to like ask the server person.
Yeah. So what would the samurai do?
Yeah, so then they show the samurai, and he's like, "Ah!" Like every time he takes a drink of the sake, and he's like slams it down again. He's like, "Ah!" Like, this is so good. And then like he slams the bottle down. He's like, "More sake!" Except he says it all in Japanese, which I can't do. And,
reminds me of Thor from Thor 1, where like the first time he has it, I think it's a coffee or whatever, he like chugs it, like slams the mug down. He's like, "Another!"
Yeah, it's like the whole freaking pot of coffee. Yeah. Like, but I think that there's a lot of that in like some of the stuff that you'd see. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because there's like this, they have this thing that they call, what do they call it? Herbivore, the herbivore man.
Okay.
It's a kind of derogatory name for young males who are more like gentle and aren't quite as
like soy boy.
Yeah, kind of like that. It's it's like a.
I mean, is it less derogatory than soy boy? I guess, or like.
No, I think it's about the same.
Okay.
It's the ones that aren't like really like overtly masculine. Like there's this idea, I think, of males, and especially in leadership roles in like sort of the older culture there, and I'm sure culture is very different in some ways in Japan as it is everywhere else. But I think in '88 they probably had still a lot of this like residual kind of like hyper masculinity or like super tough guy kind of stuff that the reason why they call some of the young males in modern day herbivores is in contrast to a carnivore, carnal of the flesh, meaning that they don't really like express their sexuality overtly. But once again,
are you saying my man's fuck trees? Are they
dendrophilia?
Yeah. I think not speaking from experience, but yes, that's what they call them. Them.
I think, yeah. Dendrophile, whatever they call it.
Yeah, that's it.
But I think that there's also, especially with male characters in some of the older anime and even some of the modern ones, there's a lot of this like hyper or like tough kind of thing going on where, Kaneda is like this kind of like badass dude that, he'll go and like, even when he was a little boy, he'll go and get his ass kicked by someone that fucked with his friend. And then Tetsuo like feels like he's not tough and he's not strong, and Kaneda is always taken up for him. And when he gets angry and like tells Kaneda like, "Don't boss me around, don't tell me what to do," that I think that there's some kind of insecurity he feels as a young Japanese male at that time.
Yeah, but it definitely makes sense. Yeah,
and all this to explain, I think some of the behaviors of the characters that I, for a long time, thought were like silly and ridiculous. And to a Westerner, a lot of it is. It's just a little too much.
Yeah.
But it's something that, we take for granted. In the West, we have a lot of opportunities to act like children and no one bats an eye.
Exactly. Yeah. So it makes sense. And I can understand, like you're saying, culturally, then why it would be appealing to if I was born and grew up in Japan, I would probably like it much more than I do. But it's definitely, like I was just trying to say, and it's even, I guess, like I've said in the past, the whole idea of like trying to consider, which obviously this movie takes place in a different universe. There is, there was not an explosion in 1988 that destroyed Tokyo, so it's like we already know that the storyline of this movie is in a different universe, and maybe in this other universe people act like that. I'm fine with that, and they were consistent with it, which is what I usually harp, which in my opinion means it's well done, but it doesn't mean that I necessarily enjoy how things are done or how people act in that universe, or that spending 2 hours watching it is like that I find that appealing, I guess. But it is still like I still enjoyed the movie. It just means that like it did make me, I think, realize that that's one of the biggest things that has turned me off from anime, is that seems to be consistent in the genre of that kind of acting.
Yeah. And subjectively, like, I get why you feel that way. I mean, I understand it for sure. Like, I can get why that's something that's kind of off-putting. But I think after a while, you would kind of get used to it. Like, even though it's like, I would say it's not
an acquired taste. Yeah.
Yeah. But voice acting's also gotten a lot better than it was. Like, the people that they choose to dub films. And most of the time, I do watch most anime subtitled. But some of it is difficult like, because we've talked about this on numerous occasions, that if you're watching an action film, it really sucks to have to read what people are saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, while you want to watch the action happen. So like Attack on Titan, for instance, I watched that whole series. I watched that whole thing dubbed because there's so much shit going on.
Yep.
That you have to like watch it. And there's actually one character in Attack on Titan who has a lot of this behavior you're talking about, but it's one character that's like just over the top, childishly pissed off all the time. And it got to the point for me where actually the character himself annoyed me watching it.
Yeah,
but, there's another older version of this movie that I think has different voice actors. And if you thought that one was cheesy, because I imagine we probably watched the same one, you have no idea how bad the voice acting was in the original dub. It's so fucking terrible.
One thing that has confused me is so whenever I put together the notes, I pull up 3 tabs. I get information from Wikipedia, information from IMDb, and information from Rotten Tomatoes. Both the Wikipedia and the IMDb tab that I have pulled up say Akira 1988 film. The Rotten Tomatoes film says 2020 for some reason. Was there a digital re-release like this year?
I don't know.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was something that you had heard of, but yeah, I have no idea why it says 2020. It's definitely talking about the same version. I mean, it's got all the same actors. It says release date was January, literally January 1st, 1988. So this is basically a 1987 movie, really, when you talk about it.
There's a planned remake, it looks like.
Interesting. Okay. Oh, well, no. There's a live action remake, right? Yeah, no, but
okay.
This, I was wondering if this was just literally, I don't know if they just re-released it in 2020. Or I mean, maybe Rotten Tomatoes is just, wrong for some reason. Who knows?
Because everything has to have a 4K remaster now. Yeah. I'm sure there's going to be a 4K version out at some point. And the thing is, though, is that for the time this movie was made, and actually not even for the time, like the animation's really, really good.
Oh yeah, yeah, yes.
It's excellent, and the detail in the sets that they have also fantastic.
Well, and also just similar to like we talked about in the Blade Runner episode, the world building they do is just great in this. Like which I think that is one thing that anime is always and notoriously great at, is just the fantasy, the world building, the storytelling. Like that is the whole reason people go to anime. Normally, yeah. I shouldn't say the whole reason, but I would say one of the main draws.
There is something about the creative minds in Japan that create media, that they come up with these ideas that I think are on a different level of creativity from some other cultures.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, Scandinavians, I mean, their mythology is probably some of the best. So, I mean, it's not like other cultures can't create things with characters and stories that are interesting. But there's just something about the worlds that they create and the ideas that are happening in those worlds and the people in them. Like One Punch Man, for instance, like a superhero that can kill anyone with one punch and he's miserable. And he claims that he got his superpowers by working out.
Yeah.
It's...
And I love he even goes through his specific routine too. That is such a great meme show that that is like the Cabin in the Woods of anime, in my opinion. Where it's like it's tongue in cheek and it's like a poke of fun of the genre within itself. Yeah.
Yeah, like the bad guys are hilarious. They have this super long 3-minute intro, and then he just punches them directly in the chest and they explode. And the things he's concerned about in the show, it's funny because that's just in one of the many ways that the show's different, or Tokyo Ghoul, where there's this subculture of creatures called ghouls that eat humans, and it's just what happens when someone's half ghoul. There's a lot of interesting stuff, I think, and Akira, the way that it's done, and the weird looking child with the bluish gray skin at the beginning, and you have no idea who he is or what he's doing there. The fact that there's riots, there's religious extremists, and there's this gang of biker kids who somehow get caught up in it. They're just some sort of hooligan type rebellious children out there, doing as much mischief as possible. And then all of a sudden something huge happens and they get involved in it.
Yeah.
And, like Kaneda gets wrapped up because he's hitting on Kei, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And so Kaneda gets wrapped up in it. It's like, hey, you're cute. We met in jail. You want to go for a drink sometime? Like, wait, what? How old are you again? But yeah, and I think that there's a lot more exploration here of a lot more things than just like a world that's been destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least an area, a town that's been destroyed and will be destroyed again. There's a lot more, I think, going on than just that, because you hear a lot of people complain about how Neo Tokyo is populated by hedonists, and pleasure-seeking kind of. I don't really know what to call them. I think the British would call them yabos.
Okay.
Where'd our British guy go? Is he here?
Yeah, where's Lee at? Yeah.
We lost our Brit. It's just, it's sad, really. But yeah, I think that, in my opinion, the best voice actors in the dub are the kids.
Oh yeah, actually, I really liked the job. Yeah,
the people that voiced the children in the movie are. I think they do a really good job, and that weird like song that they play. With the echoes,
creepy, yeah.
Whenever Tetsuo has the weird like vision of the giant teddy bear thing, like, and that's one thing. Like the music is done really well, and that one like chorus like da thing that they do over and over again at the end, which I sound ridiculous trying it. Like they time that really, really well.
But I love how it's like it sounds like it is just voices of like a group of guys just going ba 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 ba, and it's great.
I'm pretty sure just like a bunch of guys like doing an open syllable chord together.
Yep.
But the way that they do it is like, I don't know, it's cool, but and then also that weird like the idea of Tetsuo also, like what happens when someone who maybe is weak or feels weak all of a sudden has this power.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Now Tetsuo is this like basically bully. Like he is drunk on this power that he's never had before. And to me, it's like when someone who is weak or feels weak or feels marginalized decides to get a very destructive weapon. Yeah. And to use that weapon to harm a bunch of other people. To me, it's the harm of individuals who feel powerless, and when you have pockets of or groups of individuals or certain individuals who feel this way, what happens when they're given anything that can give them a feeling of power? What do they do?
Well, I like it in this too, the idea. I feel like there was a scene where Tetsuo and Kaneda were talking about not only is it like the misuse of power, but that it's like in the conversation, I think it was Tetsuo that was saying, they were talking about like an amoeba, and it was like, what if you give an amoeba the power of a human? And it was like, but they would still basically do what amoebas do. It's like, even though they have the power, that's not going to change the mentality or the mind state. And that's kind of like in this movie, it's like, well, you see a man get the power of God, but they're like, or a god, but they're still going to do what humans do with it. It's not, it doesn't until the like end of the movie where it does seem like he's kind of more enlightened, I guess, to what to do with his powers. Like it seems like it's just almost human nature to use the power like in a destructive way, because that's what humans do.
And you do notice with I think Kyoko, I think, is the female child.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's, or maybe it might be Masuro. He's the kind of heavier one. One of them says, big people don't know how to use the power.
Yes, yeah.
That somehow the children kind of have it figured out in a way that like older people do not.
Well, I think it's almost the opposite of that. Because children don't have it figured out, they're more pliable to like adults get too set in their ways that power can corrupt them because they've already established who they are and they're already down a path, versus maybe a child can, like, when given power, they're still able to learn and adapt rather than just like already being on a path and being set in their ways.
Oh,
like the potential of a child, the whole like blank slate, like they're not too concrete in who they are yet.
Yeah, it's like they've had the time to adjust to it, I guess. Like maybe this is a shit analogy, but it's like Lewis Hamilton, the F1 driver.
Okay.
You know, he grew up racing go-karts, and as he got older, he was put into faster and faster cars.
Yeah.
And so it's something that he grew up with that power of like a fast vehicle, and he's able to like harness that in a way that's made him arguably the best race car driver in any racing sport ever in the entire world. That it's different when there's an episode of Top Gear where they put Richard Hammond in a Formula One car, and the car would not handle and it would not stop because he wasn't going fast enough to keep the tires warm.
Yeah.
And you have to be going a certain speed because the brakes will only work when you're going a certain speed. So it's putting the power, I guess, in the hands of someone that doesn't know how to wield it, and then they would spin out in the race car of life.
Yep. Exact same thing you see with someone who has never had large amounts of money before, has been poor all their life, and they win the lottery, versus someone who, you know, grew up, you know, in a wealthy family and then all of a sudden inherits a large amount of money. But the, you know, person A is more likely than in experience, more often than not, going to blow through it very quickly and lose their money, versus person B is more prepared and well equipped to know what to do with that.
Yeah, it's a mix of not having experience with the thing, and then also having kind of an arrival fallacy moment with the thing. Because, you know, so when Tetsuo realizes that the power is more than his body can even handle, all of a sudden now he's a kid again and he's asking for his buddy's help. Like, you know, Kaneda, help me, like that kind of thing. And then Kaneda is back in the same role. He's like, well, what do I do to help my friend now that I was just trying to kill like 5 minutes ago? But
which there was a lot of this that I really like. I mean, because you know me, you know, but like we talked about, you were excited to hear like my opinion of this, which I'm assuming because not only because we're buddies and all, but you know me that I like weird. So there is a lot of like super weird in this movie, which I did really enjoy. Like parts of it was like, it's a weird like fever dream. Like, what is going on right now? Like, I guess before really understanding that they were like strange psychic powers awakening in him, it was just like, you know, the first scene with the motorcycle accident, I was like, what the hell am I seeing? Like, what? Like this movie took a weird turn. But
oh yeah, it's very confusing, and I think that's one of the things that they do well, is that you don't really understand who the kids are. The fans call them the espers.
Yeah, I heard that term. Yep.
That you don't really know who they are, what they're doing, and then you sort of slowly realize, and then you get the realization of what Akira actually is in present time. That's another one of those, like, there you go. Now, I have a feeling that the one thing that I really hate about this movie is probably on your list of things you didn't like.
No, maybe.
I do not like how they did the military characters in the movie.
I liked oh shit, what's the main dude?
Colonel Colonel something.
Bless you. Yeah.
He's a colonel.
That guy I liked. But yes, I do think a lot of it was, well, I mean, it is kind of like,
you do like him though, because I thought that you probably wouldn't.
I liked him. Okay, so it is like, it's a caricature, right? Like, of course, like it I don't like it in certain ways because it is like just a one-dimensional. But I mean, okay, so that's the thing, and that's another thing that I don't necessarily like about anime is because of what we talked about previously. A lot of the characters with their exaggerated emotions tend to end up being very one-dimensional, in my opinion. And that is especially the Colonel, I think, was a shining example of that. But with that being said, if I'm accepting that most of these characters are going to be very one-dimensional, I did enjoy his time on screen, and he had a few lines that made me laugh and everything. And like, so yeah, I mean, I appreciated him being there. But yeah, if I'm going to talk about him being like a well-developed and fleshed out character, then no, not really.
I've always found his character irritating. He's like really huge, and his shoulders are disproportionately broad, and he says things like, "I think like a soldier," like, and it's just
It does make me wonder some of the stupid lines like that. I would like to understand the Japanese better, and maybe one, like, is it just a bad translation, or is like what he's saying in the original tongue, does it make a little more sense, or is he just saying something that stupid?
And it might, but even behaviorally, it's like, oh, there's this kid that has these crazy psychic powers that can tear people apart with his mind, but I have a pistol. You know, that's just,
Yeah.
Well, there's just something about that character that irritates me.
Yes, but and that is like, I think there are characters like that in so many, I don't want to say every anime, but like in so many anime, and that is one of those tropes that does kind of bother me, that I've seen the same in Dragon Ball and other things, that it's like there is always a character that's like that. It serves a purpose though. I mean, they definitely fill a role.
There's very often like the kind of greedy character too, like the one that's just out for themselves, and that's the I think he's only named once, the older dude, Nezu.
Yes, yeah.
He's the one that shoots I cannot remember, like Kay's kind of superior officer dude. I forget his name. He's the one that shoots him. He's like, you sold me out, which I didn't understand that scene, actually. It didn't really make a lot of sense to me. It's like that he was in the places he wasn't supposed to be in, I guess. I don't know.
That is one thing. This is one of the movies similar to, I feel like I'm bringing up Blade Runner multiple times, but I mean, this is kind of similar. They're both kind of like these cyberpunky post-apocalyptic future type movies. But similar to that movie, it's like, this is also considered a classic by a lot of people, and like a lot of people's favorite movie and stuff like that. So it is like, and there is a lot to this movie. This is one of those movies that's like, you know, it's like we switched to the this format, not necessarily just simply because it's less, you know, to do in preparation, but it's like, you know, it's a lot easier to just kind of watch a movie in preparation than try to like prepare notes on an in-depth topic that we're trying to have like a conversation on. But it's like, it's almost like with the movies like this and like Blade Runner and like the classics, it's like I almost feel like I should be doing more preparation and more diligence than just watching it, because it's like there is so much there to unpack, and because it is a classic, and because it is so many people's favorite movie, it's like I almost feel like I owe it more. That it's like, you know, it did I only not really like it that much because I didn't fully understand it? You know, it's like, should I be like doing more research to look into like, you know, what all was the creator trying to say? Like, what are the themes hidden here? It's like, because apparently the whole like the nuclear war theme is like, well, that's kind of the whole reason, I guess, for what is his last name? For Katsuhiro's or Otomo's like creation of this, I guess.
I guess I don't really know what it was that he was getting at. I mean, that was around the Cold War, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what apparently it's like. The whole question, I guess, that he had intended is, it's like, it should mankind have the power of nuclear weapons, and that's, you know, are we the adults that will, you know, not understand how to use the power, or are we the children that can like grow with the power and use it appropriately, or like, you know, is it something that we should have? And that was, I mean, which is of course heavy-handedly, like with Tokyo being blown up and everything twice, it's like that is kind of the, you know, the nuclear blast. I don't even want to call it symbolism really, but you know, but of course, like that's, I guess, the heavy-handed theme is like, well, yeah, now that humanity has the potential to just destroy itself at any time, you know, it's like it's a reality that we are at that position should we be here.
Yeah, and I mean, even after Tokyo being blown up one time, they still have a satellite weapon called Soul.
Yep.
That they tried to kill Tetsuo with.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like whatever happened before, is this a deterrent, or is it an indication that we still haven't learned our lesson? You know?
Yeah.
And even the idea, like the experiments that allowed the children to have the power and for Tetsuo to have that power, is the fact that they were still pursuing something like that also an indication that they haven't learned their lesson, and are we constantly as humans always kind of pursuing power that we don't understand, or that we're not
of course
we're not capable of wielding,
and we also just never learn our lesson. I think that's the other thing too, is I think they're definitely right. I mean, the whole like the using the, after discovering that like Tetsuo's signature was like the exact inverse of Akira's, like still using that the scientists using that data signature to like for research and everything, even after the colonel told them not to. It's like that's what humans do. We know that we shouldn't be doing something, but we do it. That's just human nature.
Yeah, and there's more stuff that goes on, like that weird shared consciousness moment when Kaneda is like in the sort of like bubble, like that little energy bubble thing, like all the stuff that happens.
Which
and
I think it's supposed to be like a separate universe. Like I think it's like it's creating like a new universe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they said that, right? That this is the beginning of the universe. Is like this is you're experiencing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
And then it all like sort of ends in this one little like ball, like this tiny little pebble, like of light that's sort of like sitting there in like Kaneda's hands. It's all very strange, and you know there's also like the degree of pettiness in Tetsuo, like with the things that he does and the things that he says and the stuff that he uses his powers for.
Yeah.
That you know it really I think you're right to kind of go down the road of like exploration of whether or not, you know, humans are capable of wielding that kind of power.
Yeah. Because like we talked about, it's like the power doesn't bring with it extra knowledge. You're more powerful, but you still have the same brain between your ears that you had before you had the power. So you're still going to do the same shit that you did with it.
All right. Who's going to do the Uncle Ben quote? Who's doing it?
Hold on. What is the No, I've got it.
With great popcorn comes great butter.
I thought it was stir up some passion with Uncle Ben's. You're talking about the rice, the motto for Uncle Ben's rice, right?
Was that really their slogan?
Yeah, that's their slogan. Yeah. Stir up some passion with Uncle Ben.
That is so bad.
It is pretty bad, isn't it? Yeah. It's I mean, the San Francisco treat was already taken, so I guess that is the next best thing is stir up some passion. Yeah, that is that. There was a board meeting where someone pitched that, and that made it through the whole table. Like everyone was into that.
Don Draper would be so ashamed. I'm just kidding. That character's shameless. Yeah. I did have a feeling that part of the conversation was going to be talking about like just anime in general, because I know that there's reasons why you haven't enjoyed certain anime in the past, but
and it does make me wonder with how much I liked the story and the weirdness and some other stuff. It's like it would be interesting. I wonder like the live action, if they do that. Normally they butcher live action anime remakes from what I've seen, but it would be interesting for me to see like if this was just really well done, well acted with that same story. I wonder if I would enjoy it more. I wonder if like is it some of the anime tropes that deter me?
I mean, it might be, but I mean, I have a distinct feeling that any live action film is going to be absolute crap, and it's not going to be anything of what the fans are expecting or what we want. But
the live action Dragon Ball was really good. Have you seen that?
Are you serious?
No, it was so bad.
No, I haven't seen it. Everyone I know like says it's awful.
Like yeah, it's like notoriously probably like when people talk about it like it's the worst movie ever. Yeah.
Did you like Aliens too?
Yeah. Hold on.
The second Aliens movie?
Just Aliens, right?
Well, yeah. Well, the second one was just it was Aliens, and Alien 3.
Threw me off. Yeah, when you said Aliens 2, I was like, what is that?
Sorry,
I liked Aliens. Yeah.
But the thing is that has some of the same dumb shit in it that this movie does.
Oh, it definitely, yes. Yeah.
Like the freak out character, you know, he's like, oh, we gotta get out of here, man. We gotta go. Like that kind of shit. I mean,
the thing is, that movie, first of all, it ain't no dang cartoon. And second of all, it's made here in America instead of over in Japan, so I can get behind. No. It is like, I mean, there are definitely things that, I mean, and like Akira, I did enjoy it. It's not that I don't like it. So there are like, and same with Aliens. I enjoy it, but I can enjoy it and still appreciate the cheesy. You know, it's like I'm not going to say that it's a masterpiece. Like, yeah, there are definitely those cheesy parts and tropes. Yeah.
And there's like a lot of movies that I really, really enjoy that have that sort of stuff in them that just kind of irritates me.
Predator?
Like Predator? Yeah. Everything that Jim Carrey's been in.
Yeah.
Yep. But with a few exceptions. But I love Jim Carrey's work. I think it's great. Actually, I would love to do an episode on Yes Man. That's probably my favorite Jim Carrey.
I was gonna say I really want to do one of Jim Carrey's serious roles.
I swear to God, if you say it.
Which one? No, I didn't have one picked. I was just thinking like any. Which one do you hate? Oh my God, I want to do whichever one you're thinking of right now. Oh God, is it?
You have to know.
Man on the Moon.
That wasn't that bad.
Oh, I love that. No, I love that one. I would love the number 23.
Break, I'm okay with.
The number 23.
I actually like that one.
Okay. What was the? Oh shit. What was the one? The really dark one. Oh fuck.
There was a really dark one.
Yeah, Dark Crimes.
Dark.
You ever seen Dark Crimes?
I haven't even seen that. I've never even heard of that.
Dude, oh my God, we got to do Dark Crimes. It literally has a 0% on the tomato meter.
Wait, seriously?
And a 30% audience score. I want to do Dark Crimes so bad.
This is only from a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's not old, yeah.
Okay.
Which one were you thinking of though? No, what were you thinking of?
Eternal Sunshine.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, we have talked. That's why that one didn't come to mind, is just because we specifically talked about that one. Yeah.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is one of my least favorite movies ever, and it's like it's not the movie, it's the fans. It's the same reason why Inception bothered me so much. It's not the movie, it's the fans.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, I mean, Eternal Sunshine is actually a really good movie, but I just don't like. The fans just annoy me. Like everybody that likes it just gets on my nerves. Everything about Eternal Sunshine's very well done. I just
I can understand that.
This Dark Crimes movie looks terrible. Like this looks like.
I'm sure it's bad. It looks. Yeah, I'm sure.
This looks like one of the worst things I've ever seen.
I like Jim Carrey. And I have liked Jim Carrey at least once in a serious role, so I'd be interested to see that. And with scores that low, I am very intrigued.
Yeah, I mean we're going and expecting very, very, very little, so we might be pleasantly surprised based on our expectations.
Yeah.
Back to the movie of subject. I really did have a feeling that. I had a feeling that you were gonna have some issues with it, and I was actually wondering if you were gonna just say a nuh-uh for like the should you watch section. But this was a movie that I thought even that there's just something that I think would have felt wrong.
Yeah.
About either of us saying no.
Well, so first of all, like I did kind of struggle with that because like the whole question of, we talked about before, like what does should you watch mean? You know, it's like I'm taking that as would I recommend it to someone in general? And basically like what I think of recommendation, it's like, do I think someone would get something positive out of watching this? Whether it just be an entertainment value or some sort of positive takeaway, like which normally that's what I'm going to go for in media is a little bit of both. I like to be entertained, but also step away with some sort of change in perspective or enlightenment or something from the media. But I did come to the question where if I'm saying like, should you watch as being just a general recommendation to a like blanket YouTube audience, basically, it's like, well, this movie's super fucking weird. The general population, would most people enjoy this? Like, I'm really not sure. Like, I enjoyed it, but it's like really, you know, if you took an actual like, you know, data-sized focus group, focus group's not the right word, but it's like a data-sized sample of people, had them watch this movie and just be like, did you enjoy that? I wonder how many average Americans would actually enjoy it, or how many people would just be like, that was really fucking weird.
Yeah, and actually the first time I saw this movie, I actually found it kind of off-putting. I didn't like it.
But we are both, well, I don't want to speak for you, but I know that I'm someone that I enjoy weird, you know, but I also feel like I'm special, man. I'm a snowflake. No, but I do feel like I'm different, you know, like I do feel like I enjoy things that a lot of people don't. I think that, you know, not that it makes me like, you know, better or interesting or anything because of it. I just know that it's like sometimes my tastes don't align with the majority of people out there. That's okay. But so when it comes to that, it's like if I'm trying to give a recommendation that is basically to a blanket majority, I don't necessarily know how many people would enjoy this, or if a lot of people, or even how many people would take away from it what I think is important to take away from it. because it is not the type of movie that I don't think the lessons are like super evident. I mean, they are, but they're also kind of like, because it's so weird, a lot of stuff is kind of like hidden, and I don't know how many people would really get 100% of what you should get from this movie.
Yeah, I think even if you don't like it, you should watch it.
Yeah. We've said that about a few movies in the past. Yeah.
And there's a lot of movies like that, I think. And I think that Akira is one of the movies that you just, when someone tells me they've never watched anime before, this is usually the movie I show them. And that's why I own it. Like the copies of films that I actually have on disc are all movies that it's in the conversation. You haven't? Oh, dude, you have to see this.
Yeah.
Those are those movies.
Yeah.
The ones that I really want people to see, and like I'll let people borrow them or whatever and come over, take a little watch. But borrowing them doesn't happen because people are like, what? I stream everything. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly. Well, so basically, if we ever do a movie that you have on disc, we almost know that your verdict's going to be yes.
Yeah.
Because you just said like the whole reason why you own it is because you think people should watch it.
Yeah. I mean, if it's on the shelf over here, then I'm looking at it now. That's a movie I think everybody should watch. Someday when movie theaters happen again, hopefully we can do reviews on movies in theaters.
Yeah.
But for now, we're just streaming everything, even new movies.
Yeah, I hated that because I really did want to do Tenet. But I was just like, I did not really want to go to theaters at that time. And like, it was just not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel completely unsafe in a movie theater at this point, but still like, maybe just won't.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and yeah, I always like it always just comes down to like risk reward for me. And it's like, can I honestly argue the point to myself that it's like any sort of risk is worth that? Like, I guess I would say that it's like if we had a larger following, and it's like if we actually had people, wanting us to like, oh, I really want to hear what your opinion on X movie is, then yeah, I would feel probably a little more like motivation to go see new movie, so I could like, oh, I've got fans that want me to talk about this. But like on the, when we don't really have that, it's like I don't feel the need to like, oh, I need to see Tenet and it's worth this risk because I need to get my review out as soon as possible.
Yeah, it would be nice if one day we could be on a movie poster. Distance and Tie, give this a yes.
We can make a movie. We'll just do that. We could somehow take the audio. We've got tons of audio. We've got enough audio that couldn't we use the what's that program that you can just make someone's voice say whatever you want them to say? Like the audio Photoshop.
That can do that?
Yeah. It's like basically like at a certain point, if you have like however many hours of someone's audio, it would include them making every sound. And there's a program that you can just, there's videos you can watch online of like, it's fake. You can see like, Donald Trump giving some speech he never fucking gave, and it sounds believable enough that it's like, sometime within the next 5 years, like video, audio recordings, all of that. Like we've already come to where, how like when someone shows you a picture of something, you automatically assume it's Photoshopped if it doesn't look believable. That doesn't happen when someone shows you a video of something, right? Like you see a video of something, you pretty much believe, unless it's like, studio quality where it could be special effects, like, but there will come a point in the next like 5 years where it's like, you'll see a video of something. It's like, well, hold on, is that real? Like there's, deep fakes and everything. Like, that like you hear an audio recording of something. It's like, I don't know if that's real or not. That person may not have said that.
Dude. Yeah, that's insane. This is why all videos should be animated.
Yeah. I can get behind that.
Do you have anything else you want to mention about this one? I think I kind of touched on all the subjects. Mostly themes is what I was interested in on this one.
The main theme that I had was the self-destruction. In which we touched on like parts of it. Yeah. It is like, it is kind of like a surface theme, but I do think that it's an important thing. We did kind of touch on mainly most of what I want to talk about there. Yeah, that's about it for me. You ready for favorite line?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Let me go first. My favorite line is from a character that I liked. I don't think you liked that much. We just talked about him a little bit, and I actually picked this line because it kind of exemplified that like one dimensionality of the character too, which I think is like, I think you probably know like exactly what line I'm talking about too. But I like the Colonel's my job isn't to believe or disbelieve, it's to act or not act. Yeah, I loved that line. Yeah. Yeah, it's like it just shows how stupid that character is and how stupid that kind of mentality is. Yeah.
It's like, I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah. But with that being said, there are some times where that is a good mentality. There are, like we've talked, I actually like I forget whose video I was watching, but it was like in the context of Tarkov, but they were talking about like just times in combat or in any high stress situation where sometimes the wrong decision is better than the wrong decision made quickly is better than the right decision made slowly. So sometimes like acting is actually like, so I understand like that soldier's mindset of like, sometimes it is just to like act or not act, like that is sometimes what matters, but yeah.
Yeah. And my line's from a character that's somewhat reckless in the film. And I think really just stays that way and never gets out of it. And this kind of exemplifies the recklessness of the character.
Okay.
No way. I'm going to find out how much of a trap it is.
I almost picked that one. Yeah.
I love that line. It is the best line in the movie because it just says like, yep, this guy's an idiot.
Yeah. that's awesome. That was on my short list. I liked that. Yeah.
He's a reckless teenage boy.
Yep.
Yeah. So wait, we agreed that we're going to do the only Christmas film I don't hate, right? Next week we're doing Die Hard.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, sure, we can do that. Yeah. I actually forgot all about that. Yeah.
Wait, I'm fucking with you. Like, don't you always bitch about how Die Hard's not really a Christmas movie?
How do I undo everything that I just deleted? There we go. Dude, you totally you got me with that. I thought we had a conversation that I totally forgot about. So when you said, don't you remember that? I was like, yeah, of course I remember that. Yeah. So I like, as you were saying that, deleted my section of like next week's movie and replaced it with Die Hard. And then as soon as you said I'm joking, I was like, oh shit, how do I undo this? Like,
I thought you always got pissed when people called Die Hard a Christmas movie.
No, I'm the one that thinks Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
The conversation, well, it's not. So maybe it's because I don't think it's okay. The conversation we actually had was about Nightmare Before Christmas. I wanted to do that as our holiday episode.
That's
which I guess
right.
means, which you did agree to at the time.
I did, yeah. You are right.
Which means I think you should probably get 2 picks for movie since this one was my idea. So you should probably get the next 2. Seems
okay.
Like that would be fair.
That's fair.
But Nightmare Before Christmas, actually, I just bought the Blu-ray sing-along version. You can watch the theatrical version or you can watch it with lyrics.
Oh, okay. I was like, what's different about the sing-along version? Okay, that's...
And if you get a chance, just for the sake of the episode, there's a Christmas movies that made us on Netflix, and Nightmare is on there. So you can...
I like that. I saw the Toys That Made Us, and shit, there was another... Didn't they do another one?
Yeah, there was another one. I can't remember what it was.
Was it shows? Maybe was it about TV shows?
Might have been.
They do well though. I like that series though.
But I think all they did was like Elf and Nightmare Before Christmas. I think that's it.
Dude, honestly, Elf was a good one. That was like, it's so cheesy, but it is that good kind of like childhood cheesy.
It was pretty good. I mean, a lot of it just has to do with like I remember I was working at Blockbuster when that movie came out.
Yeah.
A lot of it was just kind of like the time in my life, not necessarily the movie.
Yes. Well, yeah, exactly. Like if we were like 10 years younger, we would have been all about Elf probably, but.
Oh yeah. And I mean, several people that I've known over the years really, really like the movie. But yeah, they'll just add some extra information about the movie if you're interested. And there's some really cool stuff that they mention about the film.
Cool.
And Tim Burton doesn't talk to them once.
I actually was like big into Nightmare Before Christmas for years as a kid. Like not like I don't want to say big into, when people hear I was big into Nightmare Before Christmas, I think you picture like the Hot Topic kid that had like tons of Nightmare Before Christmas merchandise. Like I never had like a Jack Skellington beanie or anything like that. But like I'm talking like as like a young kid, I watched that movie like back to back to back to back. I had the soundtrack on actually cassette. I'm sorry I'm that old, but yeah, it was like on a cassette and Walkman, and I used to like listen and sing along and everything. I remember like the Jack the Pumpkin King song was like
I think we should make an agreement that since most of that film is songs,
yeah,
I think our favorite line should be allowed to come from one of the songs if we decide to.
I think it has to come from one of the songs, and I think we have to sing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
I think that's the rule. Yeah.
That'll be great.
We are not allowed to pick a line that's not from a song, and we have to deliver it just as on screen. Yeah, that's a good pick though. I completely forgot about that. I had some choices for next week, but I will save those for the following week then. But do you see the choices you have there? I was wondering what you like. I think I've got it picked. It's like slightly weird or slightly strange, pretty weird, or what the fuck. It was like I was gonna give you 3 levels of weirdness for the.
Oh.
So that's gonna be yeah. Let that marinate for the following week. Don't like is that too. I feel like my choices are always obvious. Like whenever I introduce that to you, does your brain always go for what the fuck, or is it like what the fuck may be too much? Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Like I can't imagine going for anything else. I feel like if anybody heard me go for anything else, they'd be like, "What's wrong with him?" I feel like I have to go for that.
What if I actually picked like like have you ever seen a Serbian film or heard of it or like,
no.
It's a movie that's banned in like I shouldn't even like be talking about this. It's a movie that's banned in many countries because like the last like 10 minutes of the movie is just a butchering scene of a person, and it is like just like straight violence, like very I think it's like debated if it's actually real or not. It basically may just be a snuff film. There's not really I'm pretty sure it's fake, but I think the internet lore is like, nah man, it's real. But either way, it's like pick something like that where it's like, yeah, teach you not to go all the way to what the fuck. It's like, all right, next time I'll go with pretty strange. Like we don't have to go all the way to. I
can't even believe that exists.
I mean,
yeah, maybe don't do that. That's I don't want to learn that lesson that way.
No, it's Human Centipede 2. No, I'm just
kidding. Was there really a second one?
Yes, if you know, yeah. It's honestly it's kind of in the like. They did the meta thing that I love. The second one takes place in a universe where the first one was a movie, and the second one is about a guy that was obsessed with the movie and wants to recreate it. It's like it's kind of a cool like I like that premise.
Actually, kind of interesting. I don't hate that.
But it's but anyway, sorry, I forgot we got like way off topic. So next week's episode again, Nightmare Before Christmas, and that's gonna bring us to the end of another episode of the Metacast Movie Show. If you guys are watching this on YouTube and you enjoyed the discussion, please hit the like button, subscribe to keep up to date, and comment below and tell us how you felt about Akira. And if you want to further keep up to date or even join us as a guest on a future episode, you can always join our Discord. The link is in the description right down below. And we'll be live next week on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/TileTV to talk about Nightmare Before Christmas. So thanks everyone for listening, and I hope you guys have a great week.